Tiny, you look incredible in your full body Mandalorian costume.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, I worked real hard on it. The only problem is it's really hard to eat with this helmet on.
I can just imagine you trying to shove a Sammy right underneath the chin part.
Well, as you see, I've got some chocolate chip cookies, and it's just not really working out so great.
You've got chocolate on your armor.
I know. I'm saving it for later.
Oh, man. So if Mandalorians, what is that animal, his sigil or whatever? What was it? It was the Mudhorn. What?
Yep.
What would yours be?
Man, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
So it's a nude Sonic plowing Mario.
This is the way.
Hey everybody, I'm Dane Holland, and the off-brand tastes just as good.
I'm Austin Shazam Pfeiffer, and there is a difference.
I'm Marcus, the old demon soul. I'm Electric Man.
I'm Austin Tiny Zent, coming at you live from Snowmageddon 2K22.
And we're surviving it together on the podcast Nerds of the Grapevine, where four best friends gather weekly to talk about our favorite parts of past, present, and future nerd culture. What's coming up will definitely need the spoiler long fart. So if you don't want the show Boba Fett to be spoiled for you, fast forward about 15 minutes, and here comes the spoiler fart.
So my topic is the long-awaited Book of Boba Fett. There's only 2 episodes out so far, and I know 2 of the other grapes have seen it. I personally love what I've seen so far. What about you, Austin and Dane?
The first episode I liked, but I had this feeling of it's not quite Mando, because the Mandalorian has kind of taken the place for me of the badassery of Boba Fett, because we haven't gotten a bunch of Boba Fett before. We've gotten so much Mandalorian with the 2 seasons of that show. And so with Boba Fett, they were going to have to work a little bit harder to get me to be more excited for it, because now I'm more looking forward to the next season of Mandalorian than I am of the Boba Fett show.
Same.
But still, I still love the character, and I'm still really excited to get to see a story focused about him. And the second episode was fantastic, rating way up there with even the best episodes of The Mandalorian for me.
Oh yeah. What I loved is the flashes back. I love that it flashed back to his escape from the Sarlacc pit and how they, brought that in there. I wish there'd have been a little more detail in that, but it was cool that it was showed on film.
Yes.
And we know from his appearance in Mando that he somehow spent some time with Tusken Raiders because of the weapon he was carrying and the garb he was wearing. So it was really cool to see all that play out exactly how, he got those things. And it was just super awesome. I'm just kind of gushing. And to me, what's the fella's name that's playing Boba Fett? I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Jimmy Buffett? No, that's not it.
No, that surely not.
That's not Jimmy Buffett.
Chad McElmurray.
Well, anyway.
Tamora Morrison?
Sure.
Tamora Morrison.
Well, anyway,
Tamora Morrison.
I think he's just got this commanding presence when he's on screen. Mm-hmm. The way he walks, the way he holds himself, he kind of puffs his chest out a little bit. When he walks into a room, he demands respect and commands with authority. And that's what I really enjoy about it. It's seeing another aspect of Boba Fett. Whereas, in the original trilogy, he was kind of there. He was kind of badassy. He did some cool stuff. But here you really get to see him in his own, and how he's just, I'm just kind of gushing, really, just to be honest. I loved everything about it.
I enjoyed the first episode, just kind of like Dane. It didn't really grab me super hard. The Bactine or whatever, Bacta tanks. Sorry, not that salt. The salt water, the saline solution you got to put on your piercings. No, sorry, the Bacta tank. Just the. I hope that they're done with that soon, though, because that's my only complaint really about both of the episodes was how heavy the Bacta tank flashbacks are being relied upon. It's kind of limiting what his story is right now for me, because it's not current. I mean, that's still a midpoint. Finding out what happened between what happened on in the Mandalorian when he was there and what's happening in the show. So it's got some filler to go in there to describe what happened in that time. Marcus has.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So this is Boba before he shows up in Mandalorian?
See.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
See, I didn't know that. That's an interesting take already.
Well,
I guess they would have to do that.
I don't,
or they're going to spoil.
I
don't
know. I don't think it's before. I think it's the flashbacks are obviously before, but I think when it's showing his non-flashback parts, I think it might be after.
It is after, because one of the last scenes we see, if not the last scene that we see from season 2 of Mandalorian, was it one of the last scenes? Was Boba taking the throne of Jabba's palace or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because it was like a credit scene. Yeah, post-credit scene.
But plus he has a suit, and we saw how he got his suit back.
So this is it is a continuation of him from what we saw, but it's also filling in like how he got to be the way he was in the Mandalorian. Yeah. So him showing up in the garb. Yeah. So it's just that actually makes me like it a little bit more now because it's a sandwich.
Yeah.
Boba with feta cheese.
Oh man, I bet it would be. It'd be so gritty.
Oh, boba's a tea. Boba tea with feta cheese in it. That's on theme. That's I'm sure
bet it would
someone's
taste like
doing.
Feet.
It would, because that's what feta cheese smells like.
I like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was cool seeing some of the newish creatures in it, like the mastiff dog things. The captions, they called them mastiffs.
The Goro-looking thing?
Yeah, that was cool, too. The CG on the Goro-looking thing was a little weird.
Yeah, it wasn't the best.
No, it wasn't the worst, either. It was definitely better than the actual Mortal Kombat movie, Goro. But
yeah.
Much Gorogu.
Gorogu holding a Boba Feta cheese tea.
Yuck. Oh, no, he's a sand creature. He probably think it's delicious.
Yeah, he would love it. He likes frogs. Do you get the vibe that they could possibly be moving Finnick towards maybe even donning the armor in the future? Because she's like, I don't know. Like he's older. I mean, and she is she's more agile and a little bit more ruthless. So I'm wondering if that relationship is going to at some point be her becoming kind of the new, because they're kind of pushing her like to be, one of the new faces of a badass in Star Wars, and it's working. I mean, she's awesome. And the actress, actress
she's
loves
really
it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I've seen of her, she's good.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I've noticed in a lot of the new Disney things like Star Wars and all the movies, they're pushing almost this SJW kind of agenda. And I mean, I love seeing badass females, but I don't know. It's almost like they're trying to push that really heavy for some reason, and that kind of a turnoff to me.
I don't know. Like, it's weird to go between, like, is it an SJW agenda, or they're like, let's try this out. Let's see what this looks like. Because I think there are some things that you can watch. You'd be like, okay, this was kind of forced.
Yeah.
The Star Wars. That's a good joke. But then other times it makes perfect sense. It's a weird thing, because now if anyone decides to make where normally the male is the lead role. If any studio decides to make a female the lead role, you've got people. And I'm not saying you're doing this because, like you said, like you enjoy a good lead female. But now if any studio does it, the like neckbeard meme lords are screaming SJW, agenda stuff, and it's just
Absolutely.
like it's not.
And they make a lot.
The case.
They get a lot of clicks doing that.
Oh yeah,
but especially Star Wars. Like Star Wars has always been really diverse, and it makes perfect sense for them. I mean, there is a lot of politics in modern movies. That is true.
Yeah.
But Star Wars, of all of them, is kind of gets a free pass to do stuff like that, just because they've been doing that since the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as Princess Leia comes on scene, she's get out of my way, and shooting the bad guys herself.
I mean, that's true. And that character in particular, I don't know anything about her in Legends. I don't know if she existed before Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. I just don't know. I did love the Cara Dune character from Mandalorian. She was awesome. She was one of my favorite ones. The blacksmith, come on, man.
Incredible.
She was probably the best female character in that show, and I wish I'd seen so much more of her.
But she had to wear armor.
Well, yeah, she was Mandalorian, bruh. And you know what? She was still hot.
There it is. There it is.
Yep.
I never
stand beside that.
No, because she was on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
And it's really hot on Tatooine. It's really hot.
Also,
very steamy.
Also, she was always next to a forge. So she was always next to molten metal. So of course that's going to be just like steam. Just like
so hot.
Like
understand.
In every
This is
aspect.
space hot.
In every aspect you can think of, the forge was the forger was hot. The blacksmith was totally hot.
She's not just hot.
It's
She's
their
space
job.
hot.
Sweaty.
Yeah.
Sweaty and moist, and there's leather in there. What's not to love?
And it's from the man himself. You don't wear underwear in space, so
Nobody's
wearing any underwear.
No,
Who
it's
said
all
that?
breathing.
George Lucas himself. That's what he told. Well, at least that's the story Carrie Fisher always told. She was like, "Yeah,
Ooh, that's like, butt sweat dripping on the floor. That's gross."
well."
Ooh, I couldn't imagine having to be like Phasma, like the kind of armor she had.
You could hear the sweat just tanking at the bottom of the armor.
Yeah, but like it sounds like a
There's
drippy.
like a rust spot. Right at the scrum is a rusty spot.
This is made from the alloy of a fallen star. What is this spot? Shoe. I don't want to talk about it.
Well, it's more like an irrigation system.
No.
It irrigates it out.
No, let's not talk about it. I don't want to talk about poo.
That's what we do.
I had a bad
There's
experience.
stuff in farts and poo.
I had a bad experience with a poo this week. It was a bad time.
I guess just to wrap it up, that second episode is going. It's already got me wanting more. And after the first episode, I was worried that I was gonna watch it all anyway. But after the first episode, I was worried if it was gonna stay with that tone the whole time, that I wasn't gonna be as excited for each week. But now I'm ready.
Right.
Like, give me more.
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
I feel like it definitely kind of wrapped up the flashback scenes. And I'm telling you, that last scene, I had chills. It was just, the whole thing just chills, man. It was good. I got ASMR'd real hard.
Oh yeah,
that rhymed. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah,
I will watch it soon because, like you, I'm going to watch it eventually. But maybe I'll wait till the whole season's out or something and just binge it.
Just binge it to death.
Well, you see, along with new things like the Book of Boba Fett, I've had new things introduced to me recently, such as a differentiation in words that I never knew existed. There's a video game genre that I enjoy playing, which they're called roguelikes. But that's just a broad spectrum term. I didn't ever know that they were the ones that I like the most are actually called roguelites.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like with a K, It's light with a T. And I don't usually fret about small discrepancies like that, but I made a comment on something on Twitter earlier this week, and it really just they lit me up with my ignorance. So I'm scared to not know things anymore because
The internet was mean to him.
because literally and I'm not thinking they were even being mean-spirited, but I am ignorant to a lot of stuff because I like the McElroys, and they had posted about some video games, and I know they had liked Hades, and I posted, like, have you played any roguelikes you like? Because I've been playing one called Dead Cells. It came out in 2018, and Dead Cells is a roguelite, which, like most of them, the only way it could be a roguelike game is if it adheres to the exact platforming that the Rogue game originally did. And that was just an older game with a specific style with, when you die, it is a permanent death. And, progressively harder levels with different maze-like interfaces to where you'd have to get to where you needed to go, and it would be something that would never be the same every time you'd go through it. You'd die, you go to the beginning. In the Rogue game, you did not start over with anything, though. You just went until you died and started over.
Mario.
Yes.
The original Mario game.
Basically like that. But in Mario 2, you also did get like power-ups and bonuses as you went along.
Flames and
and as long as you
get Squirrel Tail?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I wonder if Mario's considered a roguelike.
I don't know if it might be.
I'm going to Google it while you talk.
Because it has a permanent death.
Yes.
And it has upgrades that you get a long time, and it's randomized. But is it randomized, though? Because I don't know if Mario had that kind of interfacing. I think they were always predetermined.
No, it is definitely a pattern.
Yeah, because even the enemy spawns are the same. So in like a roguelike, the enemy spawning is like randomized.
Yes, it's a lot more.
And in Mario, they're in the exact same place every time. So it is not a roguelike. It is a run and jump platformer.
But the game is awesome. I mean, it is much like Hades. Oh, let me get back to that topic that I was talking about, the Twitter before.
Okay.
Because I had posted that, kind of as a broad term question because I wanted to know if they'd played Dead Cells. And it's Twitter, like, that people are never going to respond to you that you're trying to actually get to like that. And I got responses back from a lot of people, and they were very sarcastic, and and I was worried because I meant it in no spirit other than good spirit. And they're like, I think
Where were you?
Huh?
Where was this take place?
It was on the Twitter.
Why would you assume that that it would be lighthearted? That's the worst place to go for that kind of feedback.
I treat Twitter less like a platform to like tell people what I'm really thinking about, like meaningful stuff, and do it towards the things that make me happy and smile and things that I enjoy a lot. So that's why I talk about podcasts, and I do stuff involving other podcasts on there, because that's really all I do on Twitter anymore. But they were like,
I mean, in my opinion, Twitter is like a blistering deathscape of just horror and depression.
It's pretty bad. It's gruesome, man.
And why do you think
depends on what you follow?
And why do you think it's such a good place for podcasts to find each other?
Oh yeah, it's where we met.
All know this.
It's where we met our new best friends at Homicide Worldwide. So without Twitter, like, we wouldn't have an amazing podcast like Best Friends.
That is the one bright spot in that massive
We would have found them
darkness.
on MySpace.
On Tumblr somewhere.
Now there's another one that the McElroy boys are involved with. Is it Best Friends? Is that one they're involved with?
The Besties?
The Besties?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a video game podcast called The Besties.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. See, I've never listened to that too much. I
Just what I've been listening to it in the car and you've overheard.
And I like stuff, but I'm not in-depth knowledge of it. Mm-hmm. And they said they talk about roguelites all the time on the Besties. Surely this is sarcasm. And I was like, I felt like I should have clammed up, because like in person I'll be like, I could express myself better, and I can talk to somebody better, and I can be like, no, I'm ignorant. I'm sorry. I mean, tell me more about that. I really do want to know.
How dare you tweet a blue check mark without having researched every single minutia of their entire online history and persona?
That is exactly
you ignorant fool.
Yeah.
Now, my response.
How dare you bring such ignorance to the Mackle boys? What is wrong with you?
My response was as such. I apologize. I am ignorant for I don't have the knowledge of their entire catalog, for it is vast and never ending for newbies at this point.
You should just respond to every single person that was an asshole to you and just say blocked. like it means something to them. Report it.
I just don't know.
Put K.
Like I don't know. And I guess I guess Twitter's a place that if you've got a soft backbone for certain things, you probably shouldn't go, because I've got a pretty soft backbone for things that are typed. It stresses me the hell out. Like I don't know. It's more
in words. It's official.
Like, no, seriously. Like, things that are said or done, like, they can roll off, but things that are typed are there forever.
Since you missaid roguelike and roguelite, you're going to get banned.
No,
I'm going to make sure of it.
I'm trying to just tell everybody that there's a difference, but it just basically boils down to the strict adhering to the rules of, like, is this exactly like another one that just looks different, or does it vary off in its own way just slightly but sticks to the main chunk of it? That's what roguelite is. Marcus?
You raised your hand, Marcus?
I don't know why I waited for you to call on me. But is the story like upfront and available?
It depends
for you in that kind of a game?
It depends on what you're looking at, because in Hades, which is a game I'd spoken about previously, it is a roguelite as well, because it sticks to a similar idea.
Are you sure?
Yes, it is. Because it falls under the blanket term of roguelike, but in technical terms, it is a roguelite.
I do enjoy a good blanket.
Yeah, me too. They're warm, they're comforting, unlike Twitter. So what happens is Dane starts playing this other one called Dead Cells, and it does not have a strict storyline. It's a beat 'em up game. It's a beat 'em up strategy game that involves puzzling, like puzzles and different mazes and maps, and I got to find this key to unlock this door, and I have to have this rune to get through this floor and climb this wall, and like you unlock all sorts of stuff.
Go down this hall. Sorry, I just had to complete the.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That's good. Go on.
I thought this game was about shedding dead skin.
Well,
actually, that's what it involves. The loosest part of the story involves the actual main character, and he is a prisoner who's been decapitated, and his goo, that is his soul inside of his head, takes possession of dead bodies and uses them to fight. And you go through this. The more you play the game, the more the body count piles up throughout the game near your forge where you make your weapons, and you'll walk by it and you'll be like, oh, that's a big pile of bodies. Those look familiar, though.
Oh, no.
So,
this sounds way too demonic for me to play.
But you'll be possessed immediately. But
really, it's fun. Now Hades, when I talked about it previously, it was a storyline you had to work through, and the storyline progressed, based on how you would actually solve the different puzzles in the different ways and unlock certain things. But it was based on Greek mythology. It made me very interested in Greek mythology, and I will hammer somebody in Trivial Pursuit if they ask any Greek mythology questions because of that game. And it is true. You can look at the Switch and ask.
Who's Achilles' mama?
Got him.
Nope.
I don't either. But you're the one that challenged it.
I mean, it wasn't necessarily a challenge. I was just being.
I know. I'm just in one of those kind of moods tonight.
Is it facetious?
It's focaccia.
No.
It's focaccia. It's a bread.
Marcus, to answer your question, I have Googled who Achilles' mother is.
Okay.
I arrived at a wiki about Achilles.
Nice.
I cannot tell which one of these names belongs to his mother, and they're also both unpronounceable. So that's your answer.
Heard. Got it.
Yes, because Achilles was actually an ancient hero more so than a god and a deity, where his lineage was kept up with like that.
Yeah, but he's still part of mythology because he was dipped in the river.
By it was his toes.
Was it by John the Baptist? That's a different book.
No, his mom dipped him in the river, but she held him by his heel, and that's the only magical part that it didn't touch.
That was the weak
and
spot.
That's why he got hit in the heel and died.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
He was dipped into the band Styx, and that's what made him powerful.
he's just the baby. I could see this little baby just being held by the heels, getting dipped into the water. Now all the colors are swirling. Welcome to the grand illusion. Come on in and see what's happening.
Mr.
He gets out of that damn water. He's like,
He was baptized in the band Styx.
It was more like a hot tub.
Tiny.
It was a hot tub situation.
baptized in the band Styx. There we go, boys.
Oh, jeez.
That's good. So I asked you about the storytelling because I've also recently kind of gotten into a subgenre of video games. It's been snowing here a lot in Tennessee, and we've been playing a lot of video games.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, Austin, the game you just talked about, Dead Cells, comes up on a list of this subgenre. But it's confusing why it's named this. But has anyone ever played Dark Souls?
Yes.
You have?
A Souls-like?
A Souls-like.
Yeah.
So I remember buying... Well, first of all, let me just talk about Mortal Shell, because it was the free game on PS Plus or whatever, PlayStation Plus last month. I downloaded it. It looked kind of cool. It was free. But then, it took me several weeks to load it up. And when I loaded it up, I start playing. It's, this really dark fantasy. I'm so into that. It's this RPG. I'm so into that, character progression and all this. But it was just mystifying. It kept me interested in such unique ways, I thought. But then I noticed how brutally hard it was. And if I got touched by a weapon, my health bar is blinking I'm about to die. So I started noticing this really brutal, difficulty. And I was like, I bet this is one of them Dark Souls games, isn't it? And I look it up, and it's a Souls-like game. And so that's kind of where I arrived at this. But I loved Mortal Shell so much. I should probably talk about it a little bit because, like you were saying earlier, well, actually, let me just start out here. So the game opens, and you're like this disembodied spirit, kind of, and you're walking through this water. Like I said, the story, actually, I didn't say this part yet. The story is doled out to you in such a strange way, which is another thing that kind of makes something a Souls-like. It is one of the criteria that I've heard a lot of people use to describe a Souls-like.
I mean, there's been a couple Souls-like games out there. Bloodborne.
Yes.
There's a new one coming out called Elden Ring.
Don't spoil my topic. I'm getting there, Tiny.
Oh, my bad. I mean, I, for one, am not a big Dark Souls fanboy.
Yeah, I'm not really
I've
either.
enjoyed watching people play it.
Yeah.
I don't... Look, okay, the only one I played was Dark Souls 3.
Same.
And it took me 6 hours to get past the introduction boss.
Yeah, well,
it took me forever. And just when you think he's dead, he turns into a cancer dragon. That's the only thing I know to describe that thing that he turns into.
I remember that.
And I'm like,
I did beat that.
I got to do it again?
I'm getting to the Dark Souls part.
Boy.
Because I actually bought... it's a subgenre I should be into. You know what I mean? It's dark, almost horror fantasy, secondary world fantasy. I mean, it's so up my alley. Why am I not into it? And actually, the reason I even went and bought, I went and bought such a, I bought a cheap copy of Dark Souls 3 because I was like, I should be into this. This was a couple years ago, and I'd been hanging out on the Malazan threads, which is my favorite book series, and it's really dark like that. And so I was like, and people on the threads were talking about Dark Souls and how some of the lore is kind of similar and, but it's it doesn't hold your hand. You have to you have to connect these dots yourself. And I don't know how it is in Dark Souls because I couldn't get past the second level, and it just took me so long to make even the smallest bit of progression that I just kind of lost the patience for it. Mortal Shell is way more forgiving, I hear. But in the same way, I think one of the ways it kept me going was the lore and how it dealt it out. It has this deep sense of like deep lore, like you can tell. Just the way that things are designed, just the dialogue that the NPCs are giving you, it gives that sense of deep history. And I just really like how they deal it out in such tiny little grains, like little breadcrumbs for those who are trying to piece together stuff like that, because it's not easy.
If you like the medieval era stuff, I think that the Dark Souls would be good games to use. The platform that they use that is so difficult also is in Bloodborne, and Bloodborne is more Gothic era, Victorian era kind of style stuff.
Yep.
And that game, I played that game probably close to 100 hours. I never beat it. I chewed my lips raw because I got so anxiety-ridden while I was playing it, trying not to get hit and developing strategies and weapon upgrades and trying to make sure that if I did damage to something, it wasn't going to kill me back. It was insane what they make you go through in those games to be able to progress through. But at the same time, that's a brain herder. Like, that's a brain flexor to be able to have to operate on that kind of a basis. Like, you're trying harder to live in that game right now than you've tried all day to live in your real life. I think that might be the kind of the point. Like, can you actually survive?
Well, and another feature of a Souls-like apparently is like a punishing system where it's like, if you die, you lose all your money. Unless, at least in Mortal Shell, unless you can go and find your shell where you died to get your money back, then you can save it. But if you die again before you get there, I can't tell you how many monies I lost in that game. Just like, it really drives you kind of crazy. But for some reason, Mortal Shell just had me hook, line, and sinker. The game looks amazing. Also, it's extremely short when compared to a Dark Souls, which is probably, I think I looked it up, like some of them maybe close to 50 hours, or maybe that's Bloodborne. One of the bigger ones.
There is no way it's 50 hours. It took me 6 to get past the first guy. This is probably like a 1,000-hour game. I mean,
well,
just
that's what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying. So it's already a 50-hour something game. That's just like a rough estimate, but they're not estimating for how little patience I have and how much God of War I've played. Old God of War, the one where you could just mash buttons and take so much damage.
That's going to have to be a topic eventually. There are 4 of those games, and I never got to play God of War 4. I heard it was amazing. I mean, it's a meme, so I mean, it's got to be good if it's a meme.
I don't think that 4th one was all that good. Anyway,
man, that's not a good rule of thumb. It's got to be good if it's a meme.
Yeah, that's really not.
The way I played Dark Souls was actually with the Rooster, and we would. It's a great way to play it because honestly, Austin and I do the same thing whenever we play Dead Cells. When one of us would die, we pass the controller off and we watch the other one do it. So now you're seeing things differently because it's just so difficult that if you don't have the patience and wanting that reward of beating, a certain boss or whatever, then you're just going to get so frustrated you don't want to do it. But it was a good way because I am that way. It was a good way to play it by going, okay, I'm so frustrated right now, but I'm going to hand this over. I get a breather and I can watch it from a different angle. Like I'm seeing things now that I'm not having to pay attention to my character, what they're doing. I get to watch. And then that way on my next turn, I can kind of approach it differently by seeing the way someone else approached it. Like it's a really cool way of doing that. But
I'm a bad backseat driver when it's not my turn.
Dodge right now. Dodge right now. Yeah.
I'm not that
Get ready to parry. Get ready to parry.
I'm not that
Your stamina's low.
Damn.
Dude, people that enjoy Souls-like games are masochists. Like,
well, here's
you
the
want
thing.
pain.
See, I feel that way, but now that I've played Mortal Shell, I've got this itch to like pick up Dark Souls 3 again and give it a shot because I'm super excited for Elden Ring. We'll get there in a minute, Tiny. Slow down. Because I want to talk just a little bit about Mortal Shell and how they kind of implement their story and how, because they don't, like I said, they don't hold your hand. They dole out the story in little tidbits and leave you to put it all together. But the way
I like my hand being held.
See, sometimes I do too, but I don't know if you can do it right. It's one of the most satisfying things. But
Oh, baby, I do it right.
gosh, now I hate my tone of voice that I was just saying. Gotta do it just right now. But so in Mortal Shell, like I said, you start out as a disembodied spirit, and then it doesn't take you long to find your first shell. And he's got like a name, and like you can look through like abilities you can buy for him. But then as you find your other shells, there's 3 other shells. So there's 4 shells in total that you can inhabit throughout the game and level them up. When you level up your character, you do it with glimpses. And basically this is the spirit glimpsing into this character's life before. And so you're getting these memories basically from this body that you're inhabiting. And it kind of puts together their story from the past. So I really like that. So like the story is kind of like each time you unlock a new ability, you get like this monologue from the character that you're inhabiting. So I just thought that was a really cool little touch to really put character progression front and center in the storytelling.
The storytelling in Dead Cells takes place, and there isn't a ton of it. It's really designed to be fun to play, as opposed to like a big deep story to try to grab hold of. Mm-hmm. But you'll come across either secret rooms or these small little passages in different places into each level, and on the wall or on a table there'll be little notes or little things written, or your character will examine something and kind of respond about what they see in that little moment, and you kind of get this thing of like a king that has like been mistreating stuff and doing these crazy experiments and stuff like that. So so there is a little story, and it is something you do. If you don't go and press on the magnifying glass to view these things, you get none of it. Like there's no dialogue with you and another character to try to tell you what the story's about.
Right.
So you've got to want it. And if you don't want it, you don't have to have it. You still have fun playing the game.
Exactly.
But you want the story.
Yeah. See, I kind of like going and finding those breadcrumbs if the lore is interesting.
Right.
And so in Mortal Shell, there's basically, you've got one hub area called Fulgrim, and then there's 3 other areas that you can find that have these temples there where you have to slay 3 different gods. And so it's a really kind of a small area. It's big enough, to explore and find little new pathways and stuff. But it's very short. It's manageable. It doesn't feel like one of these giant maps that you have to, with question marks all over it. Yeah. The game took me 12 hours to beat completely. So it's like, in a way, that's kind of refreshing to someone who's not as a hardcore of a gamer and wants to sink hundreds of hours into Dark Souls. But at the same time, it's a very good like Souls-like beginner, which has got me really excited for Elden Ring. Finally made my circle back to that.
Yeah, ring, circle.
Yeah, there you go. We've rung around. So I don't know. It's basically a Dark Souls-like. It's made by it's made From Software, who made the Dark Souls games. George R.R. Martin helped kind of write a fictional history for the world, and it just looks awesome. It looks like a perfect like combo of a open world Skyrim character builder, but with like the punishing brutality of a Dark Souls game.
And it's been in creation for what, like 15 years? I don't know. It's been being made for a long, long time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to be talking about it. A lot of people are going to be playing it. I'm actually excited about the co-op. I mean, to be able to do this with a friend, like go through some of this with some help.
I will,
because you're probably going to need it.
Do you know if it's going to be cross-platform? Like, if I get it from my PC, can we play together?
I don't know. I would hope so. Everything's
nice.
like that now, isn't it?
A lot of games are, but not everything has gone that way.
We would be able to find that out because they've done some network tests, because there's a lot of footage out there already of people kind of playing the network test. But I'm kind of like y'all with this. I kind of want to. I think with a game like this, the more surprises, the better.
I like cross-platform games because there's a lot of games that I would never be able to progress past a certain point without people playing with me. Like, I would have never been able to get past a certain point in Bloodborne if I didn't have a buddy playing with me.
Right.
And because there's some parts in it that I'm just like, man, I can take on a few of these folks and be okay. I can duck and dodge and weave and everything, but I just wish I had somebody to plow the road, and I just so happen to have a friend whose character did that. He could plow the road. He had like a giant hammer that had like buzzsaw blades on it. So every time he would swing it, it would be like It was cool.
Yeah, crossplay has not been announced for Elden Ring.
So you'd have to be on PlayStation.
Yeah,
basically.
I believe so.
Yeah.
When they were testing it, this is according to Game8.com or whatever.
Yeah.
They said during testing it wasn't possible to do Xbox and PlayStation together. And if you had an Xbox, maybe, because PC and Xbox,
Right.
a lot of games like that, like Xbox Game Pass, if you have that, if you have the Ultimate Edition or whatever, you can get games for both PC and Xbox and play together and stuff. But I don't know if it'll be PlayStation and PC capable. So we just have to build you a PC now.
Yeah. But the only reason, like,
Join.
I'm gonna have a hard time shelling out, launch prices for Elden Ring, because, like I said, I'm a pretty much a casual gamer, and this is a game not for casual gamers, but those tend to be my favorite games.
I'm a formal gamer. I always wear, a tuxedo while I game.
That is absolutely
sipping on some wine.
That is absolute
smoking a
horror.
cigar.
I know what your tuxedo for playing games is going to consist of, and it's most likely going to be.
What would that be?
It's going to be just a t-shirt, your underpants, and most likely you're going to have some noms, and those noms are going to consist of something salty, maybe cheesy, like some Cheetos or something like that that's a quick handheld, and then you're also going to have something that's going to be sweet.
This man's not going to eat Cheetos at his computer. He's not going to get Cheeto dust in there.
Cheetos.
No, I've never seen this man eat
I don't
Cheetos.
eat Cheetos.
No.
Oh man, you don't like Cheetos? What about corn nuts?
I will say them jalapeno Cheetos, the crunchy boys, those are delicious.
As the kids would say,
And
they're fire, and that's a funny joke.
They are definitely on fleek.
Oh wow, we're going that far back. Oh man,
Yeah.
So 2017.
I like to yeet them into my mouth. I think that's how that works.
Did you say skeet or yeet?
Yeet.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Just dabbed
I'm
you.
not sure. If
Just dabbed you up.
Dead ass.
Now, how did a Southern saying? How did a Southern saying from "Have you eaten yet?"
Jeet.
Yeet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeet yet? No. And how did it go from that to meaning you threw something? I don't know where.
You throw food into your mouth.
Yeet yet?
Yeah, I threw food into my mouth.
I've thrown nothing today, Father. Why do you ask?
Souls-like games are, I don't know. You got to be a special type of video game player, man.
I know.
Play
See,
that game.
I'm afraid that Mortal Shell has got me interested just to get my hopes crushed.
Yeah, because
No.
Austin, what was the PlayStation
I
Network
was
free game?
think-
Godfall? No, it wasn't
I was
Godfall. That's a
trying
totally
to
different
think
game.
about
Lords
it.
of the Fallen or
Yes,
something like that.
Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah,
There's actually some of the more, they looked more roguelike games on my list. I think so. They were called, one of them was called Blasphemous, that you should probably look at, Austin, because it looked like a lot like Dead Cells.
Okay.
And then there was another one, the one that you said was all hand drawn,
yeah, but now I'm
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight. Yeah, or no, Hollow Knight. Yes, yeah, Hollow Knight. Sorry, I got Shovel Knight in my head because Shovel Knight's totally different. Yes, Hollow Knight is a great. I think it's roguelite. I don't know. I hate that there are two words for it. I hate it.
I know
It should be
it.
the same thing.
And we can't be wrong. We're supposed to be a nerd podcast, so if we
but
get that
nerds
wrong,
can be wrong. They just don't believe it.
I refuse to accept that there are two words for the same thing.
rebut. I rebut the fact.
Rebute.
I'm a nerd and I'm wrong. There, I said it.
Oh, I'm wrong all the time.
Yeah.
Rebuke with a K. I mean, yes. Yeah. Soul-like and Metroidvania.
Metroidvania, a game that's similar to the old, I guess,
Metroid platformer.
It's a mixture of Metroidvania is a mixture of Metroid style gaming and Castlevania style games. Like they've kind of fused the two.
Yeah.
I really wish they would just come up with new words for these things.
That's what
Because-
Dead Cells is one of those too, like that.
Is it?
Yes.
It's considered a Metroidvania as
Yeah.
well. See, I don't know.
And a Souls-like.
I don't know if it is,
I
but
mean, it's on. I've found on a couple
yeah.
of different Souls-like
I've heard
lists.
it. considered that
they-
as well.
They do make some references, like in Dark Souls. Do you ever gather around a campfire to like save or rest?
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
that's
You do
what it
campfire.
is.
Because we stumbled upon that today during one of our run-throughs we were making. We discovered a secret chamber in the wall that literally did nothing besides just tell a quick story. Like this seems like an odd place to take a rest, and you read this and it says take a rest. where the fire is, and it has a sword jabbed into it. So it's
All I know is every time I played Dark Souls, I always played with my niece's husband and his best friend Will. And they're like, "Hey, we'll help you get through this. This will be amazing." I'm like, "Cool." They're like, "Here's a dry finger. Stick it in yourself." And they never told me why. But I would finger myself every time that I would play with them. And then I would run around and try to not die while they did things.
That was a metaphor. He was making a metaphor. This didn't actually happen at his friend's house.
No. It happened. I was playing on the Xbox Live, and they go, "Here, finger yourself." Yeah, that is an item in Dark Souls 3, and they tell me to finger myself, and you know what? I did it every time.
Oh Lord!
So many fingers were inside my character.
Oh, he is.
They call him the puppeteer.
Oh God! Yeah, have you guys played with Ventriloquist 69 here recently? He's just been whipping some ass on those.
Oh, that needs to be the new gamer tag. Ventriloquist 69. So speaking of video games, that's nerd things. So are superheroes. We've in the past mentioned that Marcus was a great value version of Wolverine.
Yep.
What?
It's my eyebrows, I think.
Well, you've
'Cause
got
I can make them real
you can
scary.
do that.
I
Plus,
can make them very wizardy and very pointy.
yes, and you've got great hair. He had good hair, didn't he?
Well, I've grown my hair past that now.
Yours is more luxurious.
Well, also,
yeah, I'm a great value Wolverine. I look like a very cheap knockoff. It's because I always wear dark leather jackets.
Yeah.
and
My eyebrows are always pointing.
and your facial
And
hair.
I kind of look like a badass, but not really. I'm a little too chubby to be that cool.
It's just dense. It's just like Wolverine. He's just dense, except they never expected to be dense in this way. Like the lore got it wrong just a little bit. So, I mean, also your facial hair kind of grows in that way that's like, if you wanted to, just like a few swipes and boom.
Yeah, somewhat.
But then you'd also kind of look like, what is it, Lemmy? Or is it Remy from Motorhead? What's his name, Tiny?
Not the one with moles all over his face, right?
Yeah, but if you just shaved it right down the middle.
With the mole?
If you like to gamble,
It's time to play the game.
yeah, that guy.
I don't know any of these people.
Sorry, continue.
That's fine. I wanted us to try to come up with some great value versions of superheroes that we know and love, because I think they all deserve the Marcus treatment, to where Wolverine has to feel honored to have the very first Marcus treatment. And I think we need other heroes. We thought we did this with Spider-Man in the past by making Frogman, who could jump at least 50. And it turns out Frogman's a real thing in the Marvel universe, and we have his action figure on our coffee table holding
A purple member of the Grapes.
yeah, we'll call it that.
Purple Charlie.
So I want us to come up with some, like, the name of the hero. I want the great value version, the kind that I'm going to see right next to the actual one at Walmart, but in the great value packaging.
Can it be a villain?
It can be.
Does it have to be a hero?
You know what? It can be anything like that. It can be anything you would consider super powered. Like, it doesn't have to be good or bad.
Okay, I keep picturing, like those old school bowls, like you keep fish in, like a really bad juggernaut, but he's got that on his head instead of a metal salad bowl. I don't really know exactly what he would do. I guess instead of being strong, he'd be real weak and fragile, like he's got osteogenesis imperfecta. But he's strong. He's strong, but he's fragile.
His weak point is his head, as opposed to that.
Yes. So the best thing,
he'll punch you really hard and shatter his bones.
So, and he's gotten tired of replacing expensive helmets, so he switched to Pyrex glass.
So we can call him Jugger Is. So there's Juggernaut, and then there's Jugger Is, if you would like.
Oh, you could just call him the Jugger because his head's made out of glass.
Jugger, absolutely Jugger.
Perfect.
I'm sitting here just staring at a Green Lantern action figure, and
Okay.
I can't help but think Olive Lamp.
He's just real greasy.
And somehow his lamp has olive oil in it instead of whatever kind of.
His day job is an Olive Garden waiter.
His catchphrase is when you're here, your family.
Wait, is he Vin Diesel's cousin?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. His canon lore is.
Depends on who's asking. You a cop?
So,
No.
oh man, he needs some kind of shade, like lampshade looking helmet or mask or something like that, right? Like that's got to cover his identity as a lampshade.
Yeah, absolutely. Too bad lantern's taken because I kind of wanted to put a big lantern around his head, kind of like you just did with the
jugger.
Yeah. Well, and the lampshade. I picture the lampshade over his head too.
Oh yeah. See,
and it sounded better than the green flashlight.
See, I'm like, see,
Green flashlight.
in my head,
Oh god, I just went somewhere real bad with that.
He didn't hear FLA. Hulk smash.
I heard FLA, but I thought something else.
No, you did.
See, I was thinking of the Fantastic Four, but if it were like the Fanciful Few, I think that would be just as good. But they just dress really nice. Like they can have pretty similar powers. I just want to see them dress really nice. And sometimes there's 4 of them. Sometimes there's 3. There just has to be more than one of them to be a few.
Match Boy always got a light, and he's got a big wink when he says it. Match
Right.
Boy always got a light. And you've got Bendo.
Mr. Fantastic is Bendo.
Bendo. Of course, he's gonna
Bendo.
Bendo.
Invisible Woman can be C-3PO.
Miss slightly obscured.
I picture Bendo like BEND/O.
One of them instead of thing could be called object.
The thrilling things.
Oh, I was thinking that instead of Invisible Woman, they could just call her Opaque.
The opaque woman.
Just call her Opaque.
Miss
Like that's
slightly visible.
like her name is literally Opaque. TM.
Her entire life, people never really looked at her. It was like she wasn't there.
She felt invisible, and that was enough.
When she walked on screen, Nicki Minaj's song "You See Right Through Me" starts playing in the background.
I want Professor X to be Dr. Y, and he's just always asking questions as opposed to being able to answer them for any means.
Just why?
Just why?
They're like figuring the plot. And we've got to beat this because if we don't, then they're gonna die. But why?
But why? He's really philosophical. His doctorate is in philosophy.
Now that sounds very good, no. But why?
Why?
Why do we want to save these people?
He could even be a part of the Y people. Like, it's not even the X-Men. It's the Y
Y-Men.
people.
Yeah.
This is bad. This is because I was actually thinking like your bad action figure segment you'd done before.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking like, because I looked up and there's the Rey from Star Wars poster, and I'm thinking like Starfighter, and it just say Rey, R-A-Y, and it be a Ghostbuster.
Ray.
Oh,
But not even Ray the Ghostbuster, just somebody that's Ghostbuster-like in appearance. Just called him Ray. Oh, I mean,
Instead of Spawn, the Descendant. Just like somebody's kid got a hold of some random, like, super symbiote type thing.
What if Flash were flesh?
Shazam would be a fun one.
Yeah.
To have a great value version of, because he's already kind of viewed like a great value Superman by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
Even though he's totally different, he's nothing like Superman.
I know, but
They made Shaq the great value version of
no,
something.
Kazam.
Yeah,
Kazam.
He was a genie man.
It was me and a Rube and 1000 BC. No, sorry, that was the start.
Hey, that was one of the greatest movies of our generation.
I wish.
You shut your
Has
mouth.
anybody played the Shaq video game that I forgot existed until just now?
Shaq Fu.
Shaq Fu.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just have flashbacks to Shaq Fu.
I don't know either.
I
Are
did
you
not know
okay?
this.
when you hit that bottom of the
no.
barrel, when
I
you
just had flashbacks to Shaq Fu, guys.
when you hit the bottom of the barrel, did it hurt? Is your back okay?
Marcus has contracted Shaq Fu. We
I
need to
remember
get out
the
of here
swampy
now.
level.
We're going to go give Marcus some treatment. So thank you for joining this week on Nerded Through the Grapevine. Thank you for listening on iTunes and Spotify and rating us on both, since you can do that on Spotify now. It's a new feature. If you do it on iTunes, make sure it's 5 stars. Also 5 stars with Spotify. But on iTunes, if you do it with 5 stars, also give a little description telling people why you enjoy us or what we're really about, because it is just nerd stuff and farts. But you can be more descriptive than that if you want to. And also, there is a Teespring link within the description of this episode. If you go there and you find a t-shirt and it's got our logo on it, you could wear that and have us on your body at all times if you want. There's even one with our names. You could have all of us individually on your body at the same time.
Wear them both simultaneously.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to talk about how Tiny got stuck inside of a Mandalorian costume and sounded like a robot the entire time, you can get on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Nerd Grapevine. Or if you wanted to donate a little bit to the cause and get a holographic sticker with the Nerd Through the Grapevine logo and have future content unlocked for you. I said Loger!
It's got our logo on
It got our Loger! I'm smacking my mouth that this part's uncalled for.
We almost made it through a whole episode where we didn't have to do that.
And I swear. Anyway, it's got a Nerd It Through the Grapevine logo on it, and it is a holographic sticker, and you'll be able to unlock future content that is not released. And we've got some funny things that we've actually been talking about releasing on there first for the Patreon members.
We've got a lot of stuff made that just needs some finishing touches.
Yes, the
so-
polish.
Because I promise we're not just throwing it out there. Yeah, we've got some stuff coming up.
We're going to polish it off before it comes.
So if you wanted to find us on Patreon, it's at Best Friends period, Tiny Inc. period. And if you get on there and you might see some things that you find disturbing, and it's probably caused you a little bit of...
Look directly into my eyes while I tell you about our Discord. There's a lot of great things on there. You can talk to us directly. We've streamed movies before. It's a lot of fun. You can hang out with us. You can post memes and BS, and we're on there live, uncut, and uncensored. It's awesome. Join the Backyard Bonanza and become one of the family. Don't even have to go to Olive Garden.
Or be without the olive lamp. Because when you're here, you're family.
Exactly.
Well, Tiny, I just got to hear what a true real-life Mandalorian would do if life gave him grapes.
He would put them in his pouch and try to return them to his people. This is the way.
And credits roll.
Oh my God.
Well, he do be raising Grogu. So
Shamalama doobie doo bigop.
Oh my God, don't get him on that again.
Shibbity-bee-bitty-bitty-doo-doo-doo.
Oh, they've been watching too much Grease.
I was grooving, man. I was grooving.
Him in the box, knock.
That's not what it says.
It sounds like it to me.
They do say him at a Borks o'clock. It's the time.
Box kick knock.
Oh, I thought you said Borks o'clock.
Is this episode done yet?
Oh. Someone made it through the helmet.